What is going on, everybody? My name is Bleaves. I'm here to talk to you today about why Democrats are opposed to cryptocurrency. And it's not an easy question to answer. And I'm going to show you why it's complicated. In fact, if you were to go check at the people that run your state, whether it be your senators or your congressmen, go look at your governor. You can figure these out for yourself. And you will find that it's not as cut and dry, despite me, many other people telling you you have to vote Republican instead of voting Democrat. Now, I'm going to give you some information here. At the end of this information, I'm not going to change your opinion on who you would or should vote for. If you're already hooked into a specific party or a specific belief system, whether it be correct or not, I'm not going to convince you otherwise. I'm just going to give you some information about public enemy number one in cryptocurrency. And I'm not even going to make fun of her. And then I'm going to point out what some of these people are doing or not doing. And then you can make a determination from there about whether your vote matters or not and who your vote matters to. I, for the record, am a pro cryptocurrency voter. That is my single issue right now. Mass adoption of cryptocurrency. I don't have a secondary option right now. If you are pro crypto, you've got my vote. I don't care what letter is next to your name. Joe Biden is not pro crypto or has not shown himself to be pro crypto. Neither has Kamala Harris, neither has Elizabeth Warren, nor Chuck Schumer. The heads of these parties have certainly been anti-crypto, and they have given endorsements after endorsement to Gary Gensler and the Security and Exchange Commission for them to govern through enforcement as opposed to govern through policy. And that is a dangerous thing, my friends. Now, if you like this content, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell to be notified of future content, and leave a comment down below letting me know, are you pro crypto? Do you believe that crypto is the way? And we're going to get into it right now. First up, foremost, is public enemy number one for cryptocurrency. Her name is Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren. I said I wasn't going to joke, but I am going to do that one. After that, she explains her anti-crypto stance. This is in an interview that was done back in April of this year. And most of her problems have been about the consumption of power and her belief right here. She attributed the liquidation of Silvergate Bank to crypto risk. During a recent interview with Chuck Todd on Meet the Press, she said, if I buy Bitcoin, what am I buying? Are you buying air? With Bitcoin, there's no underlying asset that backs it up. It's simply a matter of belief. Elizabeth Warren, you just described the US dollar and almost all world currency. And I know that that doesn't fall on deaf ears. I know that you understand that. The problem with that is that you believe otherwise, that you think that because it's the United States, that means that it's backed, but it's not. We're not backed by anything. And in fact, you and everybody like you continues to print more money as you need, not for the betterment of the United States of America, but because you need to pay bills. And there's very little interest on you continuing to print money. And that is a problem. But let's go a few steps further here because it's not the end of it. If you come down here, you can also see there are so many different problems. She also drew comparison between the digital world and the real estate crash in 2008. How many times did people say real estate always goes up? It never goes down. They said it decades ago before the last real estate bubble. They said it in the 2000s before the crash in 2008. This is what you're dealing with. Real estate prices are up today, a decade later, from where they were a decade before and from 20 years before. So the fact that there's a bubble doesn't mean that it doesn't continue to rise. It means that market conditions affect it, just like everything. In fact, just like the US dollar. But let's move on because it's weird, guys. I assure you, this is a very odd scenario here. She says pro-tyranny her views. Pro-tyranny, I guess we shouldn't be surprised since you benefited from the current corrupt system, one person told the senator. The big banks really do own you, don't they? It only took 2 terms in the Senate. I wish you would start fighting for the people instead of against the banks. Now, let's talk banking. Liz Warren, in fact, you're going to be amazed at some of these statistics when I start to point them out to you. Because, in fact, these are the campaign donations for Elizabeth Warren. And this is for 2022. And by the way, it doesn't matter whether it's 2024 or 2016 and earlier. It doesn't matter. The money comes from retired, education, Democrat and liberal causes, lawyers and law firms, women's issues, health professionals, TV, movies, and music. Get down here, securities and investment. They are not even in her top. It's number eight. Number eight. So not in her top five. In matter of fact, real estate comes down here in the 10th place. Electronics, manufacturing, all of these. Look, their bank money, including miscellaneous finance, I might add down here. She's not influenced by the banks in the way that we would normally think. So there has to be something more. There has to be something more from this progressive-minded person who it really defies logic that a progressive would be looking at Bitcoin as a problem. Now, it could be that she has a belief system in place that makes it that way. And this is not an indictment on Liz Warren. This is just the start of it. But if you see here, strongly against, this is Liz Warren. And if you come down here, these are all of her tweets. And this, by the way, is brought to you by Coinbase Public Policy. And if you ever want to get involved, go to Coinbase, sign up today, and get involved. And you can come down here and you can see these are bills that have failed. These are disclosures, how she wants to govern, and these are sponsored bills that she wants in order to control and or stop cryptocurrency. But this is a tweet from her in June of 2021. Bitcoin requires so much computing activity that it eats up more energy than entire countries. That's a problem. And if you're part of climate crisis, then you would probably not like digital currency because it does represent exactly what she says. But she then says, digital currencies offer a lot of potential advantages over cash, but they need to be secure, stable, and accepted everywhere, as we learned from her conversation with Jamie Dimon earlier today, where he said that it's crooks and scammers, et cetera, et cetera. The only way to ensure that Bitcoin is stable is if the banks and the government control all of the money. Cryptocurrencies, this is also a month later, cryptocurrencies promised to solve the problems in our banking system haven't come to pass, but Congress and federal regulators can't hide out and hope crypto will go away. It won't. It's time to confront these issues head on. Well, guess what? It just solved a big problem in Venezuela. It just fixed an economic situation in Venezuela, and it's fixing a situation in El Salvador as well. They are both in profit. They are both switching into Bitcoin because their current system, the system dollars, doesn't work. It's not going to be sustainable. It's no more sustainable than anything else. Everything falls. In August, she says crypto is the Wild West of our financial system and desperately needs rules of the road to protect investors and our economy. That is correct. She is absolutely correct in that. We do need a framework of legislation. It should be a requirement that we get something very, very quickly. You can go on and on here and see everything that she continues to say and lie about and mislead and deceive people. Silvergate's bank failure is because it's involved in crypto. That's just downright nonsense, misinformed nonsense. And she continues to go on about it. And then she claims just recently that it's the haven for drug dealers and also Hamas. Well, all of that was debunked. The way that drug dealers get their money, it's from the US dollar. That's what they use. And it stays that way today. Cryptocurrency is not an easy process for these drug dealers to do. Hamas, it turns out, did not receive nearly the money that she alleged in her raw data that she used in order to manipulate people, including pro-Bitcoin enthusiasts. But let's move on from there because obviously she just doesn't like it and there's nothing we can do about it. And here's the thing. Maybe she doesn't speak for everybody because if you come down here and you start looking state by state, in Alaska, you have Mary Peltola, who has no data to determine. In the Senate, Lisa Murkowski, you have no idea. Dan Sullivan, you have no idea. The next state, Arizona. We're just going to go with Arizona here. And let's go David Schweikert, positive, and he's a Republican. Paul Gosar, we have no idea. Debbie Lesko is negative in her sentiment, a Republican, by the way, I might add. And then Kirsten Sinema, Democrat, very positive. Mark Kelly, Democrat, no, not enough data to determine. As you go down this list, and we can follow, let's go to Alabama. Alabama comes first. Barry Moore, Republican. Robert Aderholt, negative. also Republican. Not enough information on the rest of these guys. In the Senate, Tommy Tuberville, very positive. Katie Britt, very positive. But we're going to go down this list and we can go everywhere. My home state, we're going to go to Kentucky here real quick. And we're going to look at what Kentucky says. Brett Guthrie, very positive. Andy Barr, very positive. James Comer, negative. Republican, by the way. Tom Massey, not enough information to make a determination. Rand Paul, positive. Mitch McConnell, never tips his hat, never lets you know. You have no idea what he's thinking. Florida, Kat McCormick, positive. Byron Donalds, positive. Darren Soto, positive. D next to the name, if you notice. And as you go down here and you start to take a quote unquote gander through this, you will find the same thing recurs. It's not limited to just a Republican or Democrat. There are plenty of states out here in which you go through this and you find very pro crypto candidates. Connecticut, Jim Himes, Democrat, very positive. Rosa DeLauro, negative. John, negative. Joe Courtney, not enough. Johanna Hayes, not enough. Going to the Senate, Dick Blumenthal, old money, very negative. And you can go down this list and you can find all of them, but you will find Democrats are in support of cryptocurrency, and you will find that Republicans are in support of cryptocurrency, and you will find them opposed as well. So what is the common factor? And that, by the way, it's libertarian. It's the belief that you should be left alone to your own devices to figure out what's best for you and your family. And that's pretty much it, that you should have inalienable rights, the rights endowed to you by the Constitution of the United States of America, and that the government should not be interceding and impinging upon those rights, and that all they should be doing is helping and aiding in the building of your communities to aid you in getting better, not taking your tax money and giving it to people who don't want to work or can't work for some reason. We do have institutions that are capable of providing that. And you know, the business of government, in so much as it's become a giant business, is part of the problem. Now, taking it a step further, Democrats are blowing the Bitcoin vote. We've got this article here. And this article, by the way, is from 2021. And it really talks about how Tom Emmer was using GM and Good Morning to let people know, hey, you know, I'm pro Bitcoin. And as you come down here, you'll find that there's other candidates that were, Cynthia Loomis, pro Bitcoin. And you see a lot of them. But why are Democrats opposed to crypto? The hostility may be rooted in the libertarian leanings of many early crypto adopters, few of whom are inclined to support a party associated with big government. There, my friends, you have it. The Democratic Party's job at this point, even though it's not in the title, is to protect big government, to make sure that the government continues to, I don't want to say lord, because that's not fair, because I don't think that the government in and of itself is malicious, and I don't think that individual people are malicious, but they are corrupt, and the institution in itself is also corrupted. But there's no, we talk about the deep state. There is certainly a group of people that work no matter what, no matter who is in charge on the government. There is a deep state, but that deep state is not a malicious, evil entity. It's just an entity that exists, and their purpose is the homogenization of all views into one sort of totalitarian view, if you will, of the way things should be based on the governance outlined by the US government. And we don't always agree with that. And we could also disagree on both ends of the spectrum with a single law and or rule and or way of doing things. But we do have differences fundamentally in a lot of different aspects. But that deep state, if you will, their job is to keep everything, quote unquote, middle of the road. The middle of the road, however, is a murky thing, and it's creating problems. And those problems are allowing fringe elements to take over. Libertarians, again, largely Democrats, until about 30 years ago. 30 years ago, the Democratic Party decided that it needed more campaign contributions in order to continue to win elections, because they were not winning elections. That led to a lot of campaigning to banks, institutions of all types, not just banks, by the way, that led to the Democrats being flush with cash and then beholden to all of the special interests that come along with that. And we watched a slow but steady corruption of that system. And then we saw that system continue to move into the left of politics. When I say the left, I don't mean socialism or anything like that. I just mean that there's a certain thing that people feel on one side of the spectrum that the other people don't feel. And it comes down, by the way, to hot button issues like trans right. I will call you what you want. It's no skin off my nose. I don't care, but some people do. It matters to a lot of people. And also, I might add, it comes down to a biblical premise. None of that, by the way, has anything to do with cryptocurrency. It's just the creation of outlier events, and those outlier events are now dictating policy on one side and the other side. And we, as a community and as a people, we've got to get back to the people that are in the middle of the road who don't want to hear this lunacy. So that gets me back over here. And look, the thing about this is that let's move on here. Top contributors, and this is the greatest thing that I could even possibly tell you. This is the election cycle breakdown, and this is the party breakdown for campaign contributions in 2022. $60 million was the total contribution. This is to actual parties. This is not special interest political action committees. Okay, this is just to the parties. Democratic Party got 11,620,000. The Democratic Party got 17,157,000. More people donated to, and this is financial, insurance, and real estate. This is a special interest right here. This is the banking cycle. Amalgamated Bank, Wells Fargo, Bankers Association. This is just banks. They gave more money to Republicans than they gave to Democrats. So now explain to me how Democrats are corrupted by the banks. You can't, because it's not just the banks. The banks are in, it's not Republican, it's not Democrat. The fact that libertarians walk amongst us looking for freedom and ways to improve this American system, this experiment that we call America, those are the people, and they're on both sides of the spectrum, that we're trying to get into power. Those are the people that matter. People like Tom Emmer, people like Patrick McHenry, those kind of guys, those are the ones that we want running and leading this charge. That's what we're missing right now, because the Republicans, they're getting the money too. It's not just crypto. It's environmental concerns. It's banking concerns. There's a lot. Now let's move on just a little bit more. Why banks are steering more political donations to Democrats, from Neil Haggerty. Now, this says that they're steering more. Well, guess what? They were only steering 40% at the time. Now it's 47%. Some of the money's come away from Republicans into the Democratic Party because they're the team in power. And if you look at this and you read this article, and I'll leave the links in the description down below, you can read these articles at your leisure. But banks want power. Banks want their money to make a difference. The people in power, and the people who were in power during this long period of time through 2016, they were Democrats for 8 years, and then when Donald Trump was elected, we rejected him in some small way in 2018 and went back to Democrats in control of houses, and we created, clusters, problems, and we don't have a clear path forward. But it's not the banks that are corrupting. It's partially the banks, but it's also environmental concerns. It's also older people, because remember, the number one investor in some of these people, retirees. And retirees, they don't like that newfangled digital money stuff. And then finally, banks pump the brake on cryptocurrency as regulators signal growing concerns. Now, this brings me back to banks. After I'm saying that it's not just banks, I do want to stress it is banks. It's not just banks, but banking regulators' recent speeches, guidance, and policy statements have made their stance on cryptocurrency clear. Digital assets are a threat to the safety and soundness of the banking industry. Now, again, I will link this article down here so that you can read that for yourself. But you know what? Let's close this conversation out with one very important topic here, and that is the banks pump the brakes on cryptocurrency as regulators signal growing concern. Now, it's very simple, and it's highlighted already. Over the past few years, and especially in recent months, following the recent volatility of the crypto space, regulators have signaled that digital assets pose a risk to the safety and soundness of the banking system. Now, let me be clear. They're right. We, as the cryptocurrency adopters, we see Bitcoin. We argue Bitcoin, but we've got a bunch of meme coins out here stealing money from. We've got classic gambling, robbing from the rich, giving to the poor. No, robbing from the poor, giving to the rich, making them richer, because that's the way that the system it works. Now, the crypto system is rigged too. You just see it because some of you've made it and others know that they will make it. All you have to do is just hold on for dear life and wait for that moment where it starts to pop. But the systems, they're all rigged. That's that's the risk associated. So when these banks say away from crypto, and by the way, those banks backing away from crypto have changed their tune in the last several months, if you noticed. So my summary of this is very simple. It's not just the banks. It's environmental concerns. It's all of the different concerns that might come with a new type of asset. This one happens to be digital. And anything that these people tell you, because let me be frank with you, you don't know how your credit card works. So you don't know what digital money there is available. The value of that money is only based on the price something and how much of it you have. That's how the price works. So it doesn't matter whether you have $100 to buy something that's $100 or you have 0.05 Ethereum, because it's the same thing. And if something is 0.05 Ethereum and it costs 0.05 Ethereum and you can pay 0.05 Ethereum, then you just paid that person by conversion $100. It doesn't matter, but they want it to matter from you. And the final take is this: the banks, they will get their hands on cryptocurrency. We are not done with the banking system. They are just getting started. We will see a revolution in cryptocurrency. We will see a rise up of wealth for the people, the early adopters, for all of us. We will see that. We will also see a dynamic change in cryptocurrency. And the fight to this point will be led by Democrats, but it won't be led by all of the Democrats, but will be led by Elizabeth Warren. It will be led by Chuck Schumer. It will be led potentially by Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, anti-crypto faces out here, Dick Blumenthal. All of these people, these old guards that protect everything about this system so that the system continues the way they want it to continue. Everything about that will fight to the death to keep cryptocurrency from mass adoption. But guess what? It's not going to stop it. It's not even going to contain it. They have no hope. They have no chance of winning. All you guys have to do, make sure that you vote for the candidate that most supports your belief system. And if you decide that cryptocurrency is not the belief system that you care about, it doesn't. What matters is the majority of us vote for those people. If you can't see the forest through the trees and you can't understand what Donald Trump thinks, or you can't understand what Ron DeSantis thinks, or you can't understand what Joe Biden thinks, or Vivek Ramaswamy thinks, or you can't figure out what all of these people, Gavin Newsom, I guess, is a candidate now. If you can't flip through and figure out who the most pro Bitcoin candidate is for your party and then for your overall election and vote that way, that's fine. But a lot of us will. And this is going to be the start of a revolution. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is not financial advice. My name is Believes. I am always right. And I appreciate each and every one of you. We'll talk to you again.